please stop remaking classic action movies. They just don't work. They just don't. Hey everyone, welcome to another review, and here's my review for Point Break. Yes, the remake to the classic 1990s Point Break movie. Said this is a new modern version of Point Break, and it stars Luke Bracey, Edgar Ramirez, Teresa, Ray Winstone, and Delroy Lindo, and it's directed by the guy who gave us Invincible. Yes, the director's name is Ericson Cole, and yeah, he's a decent director. Like, I enjoyed the movie Invincible, but can he handle an action movie? Can he handle a remake of a classic action movie? The answer to that is no, he cannot. Yes. Point Break is the story of the 1990s Point Break. Yes, an FBI agent goes undercover to get these surfers and try to track them down because these surfers are bank robbers. He basically has to go undercover, become friends with them, and track them down, and basically put them in jail. It's basically a typical story like that. FBI agent goes undercover, makes friends with surfers, tries to capture them, shit like that. Basic action movie kind of shtick. But in this movie, they're not just surfers, they're everything. They're extremists, they're snowboarders, they're BMX racers, they're mountain climbers, they're just everything badass and man, that kind of shit. And honestly, this movie is probably the worst fucking movie I have suffered through this year. This movie was beyond bad. Okay, I like Point Break. The 1990s Point Break was a good movie. Is it cheesy? Is it sloppy? Of course it is. It's 90s cheese, but I enjoy it. Catherine Bigelow did a great job. I love Patrick Swayze as Bodhi. I love Keanu Reeves as Johnny Utah. Come on. I am an FBI agent. It's so cheesy. It's so silly. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's not supposed to. But it works. It's a great R-rated action movie, and it's a great bank robbing movie. Come on, the ex-presidents, they dress up as the ex-presidents of the United States, and they rob banks, and you bought everything in this movie. It's a good movie. Why did they remake this movie? Well, apparently that's just what, like, they like doing that these days. They did it with Total Recall and RoboCop, and now it's Point Break's turn, right? It's Point Break's turn. Okay, I have a lot to say about this movie, and I'm going to be comparing this movie to the 1990s version, because I gotta do it. Pretty much the story is basically the same. They change a few differences, but it's the same fucking story. It's the same. The characters are all named Rhodey and Johnny Utah, but they changed the girl's name, her name. So the story is pretty much the same, but why doesn't this movie work, and why does the 90s version work? Well, for one thing, it's told better in the 1990s version. It's well directed. It's more coherent because it's just a simple story about an FBI agent. It's his first day, and basically this is his first case about these bank robbers. He basically has to learn how to surf, act like a surfer dude and stuff, become friends with these people, learn about these people, become one of them, and get their trust, and then he can find out how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and he can capture them. And this movie, he just does it, just because they're robbers, so I'll do it, and honestly, you don't buy it. Nothing in this remake, you don't buy it. See, Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, they had good chemistry with each other. They bonded. You bought their friendship. When he's about to capture him, he doubts himself because he's became friends with Patrick Swayze. But in this movie, you don't buy it. The chemistry between these two are just, it's awful. They don't even have conversations together. It's all exposition and just weird poetic crap. In the romance, like in the original 1990s version, Keanu Reeves has a romance with a girl surfer. Again, it's not done very well, but at least you still buy it. They had time together. They learned about each other. You learned about her dark past and stuff. And at first, they don't even like each other. He's just using her to get to Brody, and she's just, I don't know, she just felt bad for the guy. But they learned to like each other, and you sort of buy it. In this movie, Johnny Utah falls in love with a girl, but he doesn't say more than 2 words to her. Like, you don't even buy it. Teresa Palmer plays the girl. She doesn't do anything in this movie. She has a god-awful accent also, but she doesn't even do anything in this movie. Actually, a lot of people in this movie don't do anything. They don't really do anything. And this movie is not even a bank-robbing movie. Yes, this new Point Break movie, it's not even a bank-robbing movie, really. There's like one bank-robbing scene, and it lasts like 10 seconds. And they sort of dress up as the ex-presidents in the opening, but they just put them on their helmets, and it doesn't look cool. It's not memorable. It's not iconic. There's not even a lot of action in this movie. All the action is in the sports. Them jumping off cliffs and parachuting, snowboarding, and surfing. That's the action. There's no gunfires, there's no chase scenes, there is none of that. This is like a lifeless and very bleak film, and I'm great with lifeless and bleak films if they work for the tone of the film, if they work for the story. But Point Break is a fun, silly action movie, and this movie wasn't a fun, silly action movie. It was a depressing, bleak, monotone, bland, dragging, boring fucking movie. I hated this movie so much. I hated it. It was so poorly directed. The direction was so sloppy. Even when there was occasionally some fight scenes, it was shaky cam and quick cuts in. Like, you could tell there were stunt doubles in certain places, and it just looked awful. All the action, like I said, it's all with the sports and the surfing. You might as well go watch Sports Center. You're not here to watch them fly on parachutes. You're here to watch a good story or a fun action movie. And it's not that. It's not a fun story. It's not a good action movie. There's nothing fun or remotely good about this fucking movie. And the performances in this movie is terrible. See, Keanu Reeves didn't give a great performance, but Luke Bracey is a terrible actor. He looks nothing like Johnny Utah. Like, they should have got a guy that at least looked a little like Keanu Reeves and can act like Keanu Reeves. This guy looked more like Brody from Point Break. Why didn't he play Brody? I don't get it. And the guy who plays Brody is just some weird dude that looks nothing like Patrick Swayze. He wasn't memorable like Patrick Swayze. What was there? Edgar Ramirez. Like, he was awful in this movie. The acting was just so fucking terrible. Like, Teresa Palmer, she doesn't say more than like 2 words, and they got Ray Winstone in this movie as like the partner, Johnny Utah's partner. Yes, in the original was Gary Busey as Johnny Utah's partner, and he was a great partner. I liked their partnership. You bought them as partners. Ray Winstone, all he does in this movie is just yell at him and be annoyed at him. He doesn't do anything, and he just explains shit, and then he goes, hey, you go off on your mission. He doesn't do anything. His chemistry with Johnny Utah, they didn't feel like police officers. They didn't feel like friends. They just were people talking. That's what I felt most of this movie was, just people talking. I didn't buy any of the romance. I didn't buy the friendships. I didn't buy anything, the partnerships. I didn't buy any of it. It was just like watching a big, long sports video, and I don't want to watch a big long sports video. If I want to do that, I watch Sports Center or watch a sports channel. This is an action movie. Be a fucking action movie. And oh my god, some of the things they just do in this movie, and they try to, like, copy the original, like try to play homage to the original, and it just comes off sloppy and really stupid. And they actually try to put a twist in this movie, and it's really dumb. It's really stupid. I won't spoil it, but it happens near the ending when he's shooting at someone. He shoots the wrong someone. If you've watched this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is a really dumb twist. Like, okay. You don't feel bad. Like, when the ex-presidents, when they're all getting taken off individually, you feel bad because you love the ex-presidents. They're cool, memorable villains. They're bank robbers. They're awesome. But in this movie, when they all, get taken out one by one, it's just so random and just so weird and just out of fucking nowhere. You're like, okay, and you don't feel bad for these characters because you don't know anything about them. They're all one-note, bland fucking characters. And the editing in this movie was just random. It just cuts and just goes to a next scene in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of a scene. Like, when someone falls off a cliff, it goes cut and goes to the next scene. I'm like, wait, what? What? The editing and the quick cuts in this movie was just so sloppily handled. And like I said, the direction was just terrible. Sure, Ericson Cole did a good job with Invincible, but that's a football movie. I get that's a sports movie. That's why he probably tried to make this movie a sports fucking movie, but it's not just a sports movie. It's an action movie. And making just about surfing, they're making this all this big macho bro kind of movie, and that's not what Point Break is. Well, sorta, but it's a fun action movie. It's a good cop movie, it's a good surfing movie, and it's a good bank robbing movie. And this movie had none of that. There was no good crime story, there was no good surfing scenes, and there was no bank robbing scenes. I wanted to see a badass bank robbing action movie, and there was none of that. There was nothing in this movie. The direction was bad. The writing was beyond insufferably bad. These characters were so poorly written characters, and like I said, they're all one note and bland as shit. The acting was so freaking bad. Terrible. They even got an actor like Delroy Lindo in this movie. He's terrible. He's got awful in this movie. The direction, the execution, the structure, all freaking terrible. The soundtrack isn't good. The score isn't intense, or it's not even riveting. It doesn't set the tone right. There was nothing good. The shots were even done terribly. Nothing in this movie was done well. This movie is the worst pile of ass I've ever seen this fucking year. It was so bad. It pissed me off. Within the first 10 minutes, I was already annoyed. Then the hour mark hit, and then I was just bored. Then when the movie ended, I just wanted to, like, rip the seat out of the fucking theater because I was just so pissed off with this movie. This movie is so freaking bad. This is just an example of why they should not remake old school action movies. Total Recall, the remake, was terrible. The remake of RoboCop was terrible. They're all fucking terrible, but this is the worst. Point Break is a cheesy, fun action movie, and, like, you could easily remake that into an even cooler, cheesy, fun action movie, but they made it into a boring, lifeless piece of crap movie, and I fucking hated this movie. I hated it. And there's nothing about this movie that I liked, and I just thinking about it is just pissing me off. So please, when this movie comes out, do not see it. Do not. That'd be the worst thing. It comes out on Christmas time. Way to ruin your Christmas if you see that on Christmas. It is so bad. So bad. Don't see it. Scale 1 to 10, of course this movie gets a 1 out of 10. This movie is fucking awful. So yeah, that was my review of the movie Point Break. In the comment section below, please tell me what is the worst action movie remake. This one is for me, but what do you think is the worst action movie remake? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.